Good morning, dear learner. Welcome to the SWAM platform of learning. The course name of today's lecture is Power Generation Technologies, and the topic will be covered in this session is working and construction of power plant. I am Dr. Suraj Kumar Mukti, Associate Professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering, National Institute of Technology, Raipur. The content of the presentation is shown here. Initially, we will go for introduction of the presentation, then we will enter into the basic operation, then we will discuss about the steam or thermal power plant, then we will see the layout of steam or thermal power plant, then we will see the construction of steam or thermal power plant, then we will see the working of steam power plant, then we will go for efficiency calculation of steam power plant, then we will see various advantages of steam power plant, and then we will discuss about the various disadvantages of steam power plant, and at last portion we will go for overview of steam power plant. Now, initially the question arises that what is the purpose of power plant? For what purpose the power plants are prepared or manufactured? The purpose of a power plant or power station is to generate electricity, and as we all are knowing that electricity is the prime mover for our life nowadays. Without electricity we cannot assume our life for a single moment of time also. It is an industrial facility. It means power plant is an industrial facility designed to produce electricity or electric energy from various sources of energies. The sources can include fossil fuel such as coal, oil and natural gases, as well as renewable energy sources like solar, wind and hydro power plants. So, these are called as non-traditional power plants. So, basically we can categorize the power plants in two broad categories. Number one is traditional power plant and number two is non-traditional power plant. Traditional power plant covers the source of fuel from coal, oil and natural gases, whereas when we say the non-traditional power plant, it means the energy is utilized from solar, wind or hydel power plant. The power plant utilizes these energy sources to generate electricity, in which then distributed to homes, businesses and other consumers through a power grid. Power plants play a crucial role in the meeting the demand of electricity and powering modern societies. They provide the energy needed for various purposes including lighting, heating, cooling, industrial processes and running appliances and electronics. So, the main purpose of a power plant is to generate electricity to meet the power needs of the society. So, powers are the main need of the society, that may be for a domestic purpose, that may be for an industrial purpose. Power plant or power station refer to a generating station, power plant, powerhouse or generating plant. So, these are known as, these terminologies also, is an industrial facility for the generation of electric power. The ultimate goal of these power stations are to generate the electric power for our domestic use as well as for our industrial use. At the center of nearly all power stations is a generator, a rotating machine by creating relative motion between a magnetic field and conductor. Most power stations in the world burn fossil fuel such as coal, oil and natural gas to generate electricity. So, basically here we can see the flow diagram of this energy conversion. chemical energy is converted into mechanical energy, and ultimately this mechanical energy is converted into electrical energy using these power plants. So, here in this picture we can see the basic operations of power plant and basic components of power plant. Number 1, we can consider the basic component of power plant as coal used and fuel to boil water. So, here this portion covers the coal handling sections and coal preparation sections, and when we go into next section, that is water boiled to form pressurized steam. So, boilers etc. are covered in this section. Ultimately, we are planning to make steam from this water, and these steams are flown to the turbine. In third section, the turbine is shown here. Turbine is considered as the heart of the power plant. So, what is the function of turbine? As we have described in previous section also, the turbine is the work done equipment, work done component. So, using this turbine we will be able to get the work done from the plant. So, what turbine does? Turbine is responsible to expand the steam so that a rotor will be rotated, and ultimately this rotor will rotate. Ultimately, a generator is connected with this rotor, and generator is responsible to generate electricity for our various purposes. Fine. Then we enter to the condenser. So, here after expansion of the steam is supposed to condensed, and if it is not condensed, then it is just passed through condenser so that the steam can be converted into the water, and this water is again pumped to the boiler using pump. So, ultimately this cycle is going on continuously. So, at the portion of turbine, or we can say at the portion of generator, we are getting electricity continuously for our various purposes. Now, here in this picture we can see the steam or thermal power plant is a power station that uses heat energy to produce electricity. The heat source in a thermal power plant can be the burning of fossil fuels such as coal, natural gas or oil etc. So, here in this picture we can see the coal handling section, and then we can see the boiler. Boiler is nothing but it is a furnace. Then we can see the turbine, and at last we can see the transmission lines and generators. Fine. So, using this boiler is a furnace, we are converting water to steam, and these steams are entered into the turbine, and using this turbine we are able to get work done. And we can see here in this turbine a generator is connected so that we can get an electricity for our various purposes. Steam power plant is an important source to produce electricity. The major portion of electricity demand is fulfilled by this power plant. It is also called a thermal power plant. It provides the electricity required to different areas. It is the power plant which is used to generate electricity by the use of a steam turbine. The major components of these power plants are the boiler, steam turbine, condenser and water feed pump. Here in this picture we can see an elaborated view of thermal power plant, where we can see from here ash handling storage is there, ash handling system is there. Then we can see at boiler, and then we can see the superheater. Then here we can see the superheated steam. Then condenser is shown here, and cooling water is shown here. Cooling water means we can opt cooling tower to cool waters, and ultimately the turbine is shown the turbine is connected with generator, and ultimately generator will produce the electricity for our various purposes. So, using these various components like economizer, air preheater, coal storage device, coal handling devices, we can increase the efficiency and we can increase the work done by the steam power plant. So, this is an elaborated view where we can see the various minute components used in steam power plant or thermal power plant. Now, we can see various types of equipments or sections used in steam power plants are coal storage, coal handling, boiler, economizer, air preheater, turbine, generator, ash storage and ash handling, condenser, cooling tower, chimney, feed water pump and deaerator. So, these are the basic and important component of any steam or thermal power plant. What happens in these components? Like coal storage is the place where coal is stored which is to be utilized when required. Coal handling, here the coal is converted into the pulverized form before feeding the furnace. The proper system is designed to transport the pulverized coal to the boiler. Pulverizing means nothing but it is a making a powder of coal. So, this is called as pulverized and the coal is called as pulverized coal. The coal handling system is a set of equipment and processes that are used to transfer coal from its initial location to the end use destination. The system includes equipment of coal crushing, storage and transportation. It is designed to efficiently and safely handle the coal throughout the entire process from its initial arrival at the facility to its final destination. Now, here we can see the construction of the coal handling system. What happens here in this system? A well designed coal handling system can help to reduce the cost of coal transportation, storage and processing and can also improve the safety and cleanliness of the facility. Here in this case, in this picture we can see the various storage system or various stages of the coal handling plant. Coal delivery can be done by using road or rail or ship. Then we go for unloading, then we go for out storage, then we go for preparation of the coal, then transfer, then cover storage, then input handling and then weighing, then furnace fire. So, ultimately the coal is aimed to be put in furnace for the firing operation. So, generally we use the coal in pulverized form so that it can be easily burnt and the heat can be easily generated. Boiler is the next very important component in thermal power plant. It is a closed vessel in which fluid, generally water, is heated to convert the water into high pressure steam. It contains the furnace inside or outside the boiler shell. The combination of coal takes place in the furnace. Here we can see the picture of boiler. Various types of boilers are there. They are known as fire tube boiler, they are known as water tube boiler. So, here in this picture we can see various types of boilers also and what are the functions of boiler and how the processes are continuing in the boiler we can see in this slide. Now, next various important component is fire tube boiler. What happens in fire tube boiler? In which hot water boiler in which gases pass from a fire through one or water circulates in tubes, heated more tubes running through a sealed container of water, and water tube boiler in which water circulates in tube heated externally by the fire. So, here we can say in case of fire tube boiler, the fire is inside the tube, and in case of water tube boiler, the water is inside the tube. The another important component of the thermal power plant is economizer. An economizer is a device in which the waste heat of flue gas is utilized for heating the feed water. So, here in this case we can see the picture of economizer. Economizer is kept in chimney so that the heat of flue gases can be utilized to heat the water, that is raw water, that has to be circulated to the boiler, so that the heating energy to be used in boiler can be reduced. So, ultimately economizer reduces the efficiency of the thermal power plant. Flue gases coming out of the boiler carry a lot of heat, and economizer extracts a part of this heat from the flue gases and uses it for heating feed water. Economizers are of the type number 1 independent type and number 2 integral type. Here we can mention some advantages of economizer, that is, this use of economizer results in saving coal consumption and higher boiler efficiency. Ultimately, the purpose of economizer is to increase the efficiency of the boiler, eventually to increase the efficiency of the thermal power plant. It reduces the temperature, which results in a reduction of stresses due to unequal expansion. Evaporative capacity of boiler is increased. Overall efficiency of the power plant is increased after saving of the energy during the economizer. Now, next is air preheater. One of the very important component in thermal power plant is known as air preheater. Air preheater is a device which increases the temperature of air before it's supplied to the furnace using heat from the flue gases and passing through the chimney. It is used to preheat the air before entering into the boiler furnace. Here in this picture we can see a clear view of air preheater, where flue gases are going to enter into the air preheater. Various tubes are there, and fresh air are supposed to be heated using these flue gases. These heated gases are supplied to the boiler so that we can save the energy, we can increase the efficiency of the power plant ultimately. The function of air preheater is to increase the temperature of air before it enters the furnace. The preheating of air helps in the burning of fuel to a greater extent. It takes the heat from the burnt gases from the furnace to the heat the air from the atmosphere. It is generally placed after economizer. So, the flue gases pass through the economizer and then to the air preheater. So, these can be categorized, air preheater can be categorized in three main categories. Number 1, plate type air preheater, number 2, tubular type air preheater, and number 3 can be considered as regenerative type air preheater. Now, we consider about the turbine. We discuss about the turbine. Turbine is known as the heart of any power plant because the main work is done using turbine. Turbine is directly connected with generator, and generator is responsible to generate the electricity for our various purposes. Turbine is the mechanical device which converts the kinetic energy of steam to the mechanical energy. The steam turbine in power plant is a rotating machine that utilize high power pressure steam to move the moving blades that are mounted on the rotor of the turbine. Here in this slide we can see a clear picture of a turbine where steam is entering in first end and low pressure steam is going to exit from second end of the turbine. So, in between of this point number 1 to 2, the work is done. After expansion of steam, the work is done here. The steam turbine in power plant consists of 3 stages. Number 1, high pressure stage, HP stage, intermediate stage, that is called as IP stage, and low pressure stage, that is called as low LP stage. So, these are the staging of turbine. So, turbine is connected with generator, and generator is continuously producing the electricity for our purpose. Next is generator. It is very important component in any thermal power plant, that is called as generator, or generally it is called as turbine generator. It is coupled with the turbine rotor and converts the mechanical energy of the turbine to the electrical energy. Generators are based on connection between magnetism, motion and electricity. Generators typically use an electromagnet which is created by electricity and rapidly spinning turbine to produce massive amount of current. So, here in this case, in this slide we can see the picture of generator. Steam is entering here, turbine generator is shown here, and steam is going out from another side. So, ultimately a magnetic field is generated and eventually we are able to get the electricity from this component, that is called as generator. Now, another various important component of the steam power plant is ash storage and ash handling system. In thermal power plant, coal is used as a fuel for generating electricity. After burning of coal, 40% of the total coal consumption is converted into ash, which needs to be properly disposed of from the thermal power plant. Ash handling systems are fly ash handling system, bottom ash handling system, ash slurry disposal system. So, here in this picture we can see the various components of ash handling system. Ash handling plants or ash handling system in thermal power plant are used to cool to a disposal area or storage which is further utilized in other industries. In this picture we can see the circulation of fly ash. Next and very important component of thermal power plant is called as condenser. As name shows, it condensates the steam and leaves out turbine. So, this condenser is situated or located after turbine. So, it converts the turbine exhaust steam into pure water, referred to as steam condensate, so that it may be reused in the steam generator or boiler feed water. So, this water is again fed into the system. So, the condenser is responsible to condense the overall steam which is coming from the turbine into the water, so that this water can easily be circulated again to the turbine, to the boiler and turbine. Here in this picture, a clear cut flow of steam and water is shown here. So, after expansion of steam, the steam is converted into water, and if steam is not condensed, then steam is converted into the water within the condenser, and this water is again fed to the boiler using a high pressure pump. So, after boiler we will get steam of high pressure and high temperature, and that steam is supposed to pass to the turbine, and in turbine we are getting the work done. As I told you earlier, the turbine is connected with generator, and generator is responsible to produce the electricity. So, this is again a kind of Rankine cycle only. So, using this Rankine cycle we are able to generate the electricity continuously. Next and very important component of the thermal power plant is cooling tower. It is a tower which contains cold water. Cold water is circulates to the condenser for the cooling of the residual steam from the turbine. Cooling towers are the special kind of heat exchanger that allows air and water to interact with one another to lower the temperature of boiling water. Basically, cooling tower is a kind of heat exchanger only, where cold water is circulated to the condenser for the cooling of the residual steam from the turbine. So, here in this picture we can see a clear cut picture of the cooling tower, where water is being circulated from cooling tower to condenser. Ultimately, this serves the condenser for condensing the water, and ultimately the water is fed into the boiler. Next component is chimney. It is used to release the hot burnt gases of smoke from the furnace to the environment at the appropriate height. The height of the tower is very high, such that it can easily throw the smoke and exhaust gases at the atmosphere height, and it can not affect the population living near the steam power plant. So, in this picture we can see the height of the chimney, and definitely a particular height is to be maintained by chimney, so that the flue gases which are coming out from the chimney may not hazard for the living near the steam power plant. Next important component in thermal power plant is feed water pump. In order to maintain the water supply at different operating loads, the boiler feed pumps working is to supply pressurized feed water to the boiler. It is used to transport the feed water to the boiler. So, ultimately what is the function of feed water pump? The main function of feed water pump is to feed the water to the boiler from condenser. Maybe all complete water is supplied by condenser, or additionally water can be supplemented to the boiler using this feed water pump. Another component is called as deaerator. Deaerator is a device that is widely used for the removal of air and other dissolved gases from the feed water to the steam generating boiler. Deaerator are mechanical device that removes dissolved gases from the boiler feed water. So, the dissolved gases will definitely create the problem or disturbance in the boiler. So, the removal of additional dissolved gases are very important. For this purpose, we use deaerator in thermal power plant. The picture is shown here. A liquid is completely filled in deaerator, and a mechanism is given to remove the dissolved gases in water. Deaerator protects the steam system from the effect of corrosive gases. It accomplishes this is reducing the concentration of dissolved oxygen and carbon dioxide to a level where corrosion is minimized. So, with the presence of oxygen or any other gases, there may be the case of corrosion, or there may be the possibility of corrosion. So, in the boiler section, so to remove or minimize this problem, we locate the deaerator in the system. The pulverized coal is fed into the boiler, where the pulverized coal is burned into the furnace. Due to heat of the furnace, the water present in the boiler drum changes to the high pressure steam. From the boiler, this high pressure steam is passed to the superheater, where it is again heated up to its dryness. After this superheated steam strikes the turbine blades at a high speed, and the turbine blades are rotating at high speed. Here the stored potential energy of the steam is get converted into the mechanical energy. A generator is coupled with the turbine rotor. As the turbine rotates, the generator also rotates at the same speed, and the mechanical energy of the turbine gets converted into electrical energy. Steam, after heating the turbine blades, lose most of the energy and leaves the turbine with low pressure steam. This low pressure steam enters into the condenser. Cold water circulates in the condenser from the cooling tower. Here, low pressure wet steam is converted into water. After that, condensed water with the feed water is passed to the economizer, where it gets heated up by the economizer, and finally the feed water enters into the boiler by a feed water pump to repeat the cycle, and ultimately the cycle is continuously going on. The burnt flue gases from the furnace pass through the superheater, economizer and air preheater. This heat of flue gas is used to heat the steam in the superheater to its dryness, to heat feed water in the economizer before entering into the boiler, and to heat air from the atmosphere in the air preheater before it enters into the furnace. The ash from the furnace is transported to the ash handling plant and finally to the ash storage. The power plant that operates on a coal constitutes almost 41% of world's electricity generation. It is the modified Rankine thermodynamic cycle on which the coal-fired power plant operates. The overall efficiency of the coal power plant ranges from 32% to 42%, and this is calculated by the superheated pressure and superheat and reheat temperature of the steam. Most of the large power plants that operate at steam pressure of 170 bar, 570 degree superheat and 570 degree reheat steam temperature can achieve efficiency ranges from 35 to 38%. The efficiency of supercritical power plants operating at 220 bar steam pressure, 600 by 600 degrees centigrade superheat or reheat temperature can achieve 42% only. The efficiency in the range of 45 to 48% can be achieved by the ultra supercritical power plants operating at 300 bar pressure, 600 by 600 degree superheat reheat steam temperature. As compared with the power generating plant, it has low initial cost and hence is economical. So, these are some advantages of thermal power plants, and we will discuss one by one what types of advantages of the thermal power plants are listed. So, here we can say less land area is required as compared with the hydro power plant in case of thermal power plant. In case of thermal power plant, coal is used as fuel and cost of coal is cheaper than petrol or diesel fuel. So, the power generation cost is economical overall in this case. This power plant has easy maintenance cost. So, cost ultimately compared to other power plant is minimum here. The steam power plant can be installed in any area where water sources and transportation facilities are easily available, whereas in other cases like hydel power plant, where the hydrology, it means availability of water is very important in case of hydel power plant, whereas in case of thermal power plant we can locate this power plant anywhere where the water sources and transportation facilities are easily available. Some disadvantages of power plant is also considered, like high running cost. The running cost of steam power plant is comparatively high because of fuel and maintenance of the power plant, etc. Low efficiency. If we talk about the overall efficiency of the steam power plant, then it is about 35 to 41%, which is very low. Using various kinds of mechanism, various kinds of techniques and various kinds of tool, we can improve this efficiency up to 42% only. So, the efficiency of the thermal power plant is very low. This is considered as a disadvantages of this plant. Global warming: due to the release of burnt gases of coal or fuel, it contributes to global warming to a larger extent. Of course, nowadays we are very focused about global warming. So, this is very important and very big disadvantage of thermal power plant. So, this is very much responsible for global warming. So, and another work is adverse effect on aquatic living organism. The heated water that is thrown in the river, ponds, etc. puts an adverse effect on the living organisms and distributes the ecology, and ultimately the ecosystem is being disturbed using this system. So, this is again considered as a disadvantages of the thermal power plant. Here in this picture we can see the advantages and disadvantages of thermal power plant. A power plant is an industrial facility that generates electricity. Now, we are going to conclude the thermal power plant. What happens in thermal power plant? Here I am going to present an overview of a thermal power plant. It converts various forms of energy such as thermal, mechanical or chemical energy into the electrical energy. A power plant is an industrial facility that generates electricity for our domestic purpose as well as industrial purpose. Power plants play a crucial role in meeting the demand for electricity to power homes, business and industries. There are different types of power plants including thermal power plants, hydroelectric power plants, nuclear power plants and renewable energy power plants. Thermal power plants, which uses fossil fuels such as coal, oil or natural gas as the most common type of power plants. These plants burn fuel to reduce steam, which drives turbine connected to electric generators. Hydroelectric power plants harness the power of flowing water to generate electricity. They use dam to store water and release it in controlled amount, which drives turbine. Power plants are major contributors to greenhouse gas emissions, primarily carbon dioxide. Measures are being taken to reduce their environmental impact through the implementation of cleaner technologies such as carbon capture and storage. Additionally, energy efficiency and the adoption of renewable energy source are key strategies to mitigate the environmental impact of the power plant. In summary, power plants are essential for providing electricity for our daily needs. They utilize different energy sources to generate electric energy, which thermal power plants being most common type. As society continues to prioritize sustainability, efforts are being made to minimize the environmental impact of the power plant through the development of cleaner technologies and the promotion of renewable energy sources. Thank you very much.